Donald Trump just made it clear that he does not see the assassination of Charlie Kirk as a political tragedy, but instead a political opportunity, because the message he just delivered in the Oval Office, a threat against America, makes it incredibly clear that the president is ready to play political theater and do whatever he wants by capitalizing on this opportunity. It is an incredibly disturbing message that we are going to get into, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into the threat that Donald Trump just made against Americans in the Oval Office, I want to start with the response that we saw from AOC today, because I think it is the right message that Democrats need to deliver and a perfect foil to the threat Trump is making.
Beyond rhetoric, we need to talk about action, and we need to talk about, yes, there are words, but most importantly, we are in a job of leadership. We are in a job of action. We are in a role and a position where the American people are looking to us to do something about this. And every single day, people are dying due to gun violence in America, and every single day there are people in this building that continue to vote against doing anything. They vote against universal background checks. They continue to support legislation and also remove any way to block the mentally ill, to block extremists, to block people with histories and records of domestic violence from getting guns in their hands. So are we going to do something about this or not? We have a political assassination that happened at the same time as a school shooting where children are dying on the same day, a week after a shooting at a Catholic school where children were gunned down while praying. Are we going to do something, or are we going to argue over rhetoric? That is my question about this. We have to pass gun safety legislation and stop this.
What one congresswoman was saying, was yelling at Republicans and said that it was Democrats' fault. Democrats did this. That's what we're saying.
I mean, people can finger point all they want. Look at the record. Look at the actions of what we are doing. I don't think a single person who has dedicated their entire career to preventing gun safety legislation from getting passed in this House has any right to blame anybody else but themselves for what is happening. We have to stop this. We can stop this. And why don't we start by acknowledging that basic common sense gun safety legislation is not taking away a gun, is not attacking the Second Amendment, but it is about ensuring the safety of our children, of women, of people across this country, to ensure that guns and firearms do not get in the hands of people who are going to use them against human beings, period. Domestic violence is one of the highest indicators of whether a person is going to kill someone else with a gun or not. There are so many other indicators, and I think it is so deeply important that when a politician tries to blame words for inaction, they need to look at their action and their record. Enough of this. This is horrific. This is awful. And the assassination of Charlie Kirk risks an uncorking of political chaos and violence that we cannot risk in America.
It is not the responsibility of Democrats to condemn what happened today. Democrats have always condemned political violence. Republicans have made a joke of it. They have laughed at it. They have made a mockery of it. When it was Paul Pelosi, Donald Trump was making memes, and so was Don Jr. When it was Joe Biden hogtied in the back of a truck on someone's Instagram post, Donald Trump reshared it. They don't care. They just want to use it as an opportunity to attack and spew their rhetoric. It's exactly what Donald Trump just did in his Oval Office message. I have a lot to say, so stick around after.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
They see this as a political opportunity. Donald Trump is now threatening to go after anyone who uses their free speech to condemn, which you are allowed to do, the political affiliations and messages of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk went around the country debating, and debate is a positive thing that we should encourage. People should use their words, not violence. And so debating Charlie Kirk's ideas does not make you a criminal that Donald Trump can go after. That is the first thing. The second is that Donald Trump is very clearly still hurt about last night when he was protested, because the protesters at the restaurant that Donald Trump went to delivered a very clear message that D.C. must be free, that Palestine must be free, and that Donald Trump is the Hitler of our time. Now that really gets under his skin, doesn't it? And Donald Trump made it clear that it did when he said that Republicans are being called Nazis by Democrats, and that is the greatest issue of our time. Well, you know who called Donald Trump Hitler? J.D. Vance. So if you want to attack us for speaking the truth about you vile man, then lock up your vice president first. They are using this as an opportunity to launch a war against their political opponents. That even a simple opposition to Donald Trump's policies makes you a criminal and a dangerous agent in America. The Supreme Court just made it clear that Donald Trump's mass thugs can go out and round up anyone who they don't think is American. That is a pretext for un-American activity being something that Donald Trump's goons can round you up for. If you're speaking out against the regime, why can't they track you down? That is what Donald Trump is saying. This is a dangerous night in America, and I don't want to see any Democrat qualifying their statement or backing down from criticism of Donald Trump and his authoritarian regime, because that is exactly what he wants tonight. That is what Donald Trump wants. And I am sorry if I am too upset and too passionate about this issue, and I am somehow politicizing it, but it's not political. That's what Trump wants. It is clear. He is using this as an opportunity to further carry out his authoritarian mission. For God's sakes, he says his administration is coming after anyone critical of a conservative host. The political assassination was wrong, but I don't need to say that because I haven't made jokes about it like Donald Trump has about other political violence in the past. Where was his condemnation of a state house member in Minnesota having her life ripped from her? Where were the flags flying at half-mast then? They weren't, because it wasn't an opportunity for Donald Trump to play political theater, to send his police state across the country. That's what he wants. That's why we can't back down. That's why we have to be more critical of this administration. Because if we don't, if we cower, they will seize on it. That's what they want. That is what they want. This should be a moment for a conversation not about letting off the criticism of Donald Trump, but about gun violence in America, an epidemic. That's what it is. And so it's time to have that conversation and not just have it, but let it lead somewhere. Make change now. If Donald Trump wants to use the power of his authoritarian regime to go after his political opponents, why not use the power to protect us all by passing comprehensive gun reform now? Because that doesn't play into Donald Trump's political hands. It doesn't support his regime, and it doesn't support his billionaire backers who want to keep us divided and scared. We can't allow that to happen. And someone who has been fighting on this issue for so long is someone that I want to hear from tonight, and it's Senator Chris Murphy.
You know, I and every political figure and public figure and author and professor and across the political spectrum of ideology has sat underneath the tent with a microphone to talk to a bunch of people. That's like an essential part of what a free and open society is, and we can't let that go away.
Correct. And, you know, we also don't want to feel as if we are sort of living in a variety of different prison experiences.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I have opposed there being, you know, armed guards at my children's schools. And that is primarily because I actually think it breeds a sense of fear in children that is, you know, largely irrational. As much as this has now become an epidemic, you know, you are still, you know, more likely in this country to be, you know, killed by a falling object than you are in a mass shooting. There's far too many mass shootings, but I don't think we want to turn our churches and our schools and our shopping malls and our movie theaters into boarded up encampments.
Yeah.
So I think it's better that we get at the underlying sources of this violence. And there's some specific conversations we have to have with respect to political violence, but all of it has an underlying story about the easy access of guns. And if we just were more careful about who has access to powerful weapons in this country, we would have less need to board up a lot of our public settings.
This is not a time to back down. This is not a time to cower. This is a time to fight back. We are going to be doing so every single day on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.